Icebreakers are the newest Icebreaker is the newest roller coaster to debut at SeaWorld Orlando, which is set to open in spring of 2020. It'll be their 6th roller coaster, is a multi-launch coaster. It'll run along the same launch track a total of 4 times, and it is meant to be a family coaster. But that being said, it's still packing in some pretty cool thrills. So this is going to be my full in-depth analysis based off of what we have been given. Unfortunately, one of the things we have not been given is a full, from start to finish, POV. So all we're having to base this off of is 1 teaser and 2 graphics. Definitely not ideal, but we're just working with what we've been given. A few stats about the roller coaster. The max height is 93 feet, and that is actually going to be the spike at the back of the coaster, not the top hat. The top hat is 80 feet tall, but the spike is your tallest moment, is also going to have the steepest drop, because that spike is not vertical, it actually goes beyond vertical, about 100 degrees. So that in itself is pretty unique. That's not something you see really on roller coasters. So I absolutely dig it. That spike is probably the most unique thing about this coaster. But one of the things that they're trying to do is increase the ride time by having multiple launches, because they don't have a lot of space to work with. They're kind of squeezing this coaster in right next to Wild Arctic. It's bumping up against the water in one of their big stadiums. So they really are trying to maximize their space. So they said, we'll bring in premier rides. They're known for doing rides like the Skyrocket 2, where you traverse the same launch track multiple times. So we'll bring them in and have them do an original layout. So for this coaster, when you depart the station, you actually go first onto a transfer track that slides you over onto the launch section. This way they can run more than one train. And the first thing you do is not launch forwards. The first thing you do is launch backwards. We have not been given an exact speed that you'll reach as you go through each of these launch sections, but the whole idea is that you don't make it all the way up. So considering that our top speed is 52 miles per hour, I'm going to guess that when you first launch backwards, you're going to hit maybe 15 to 20 miles per hour. And then when you fall forwards, you then hit between 25 and 30 miles per hour, make it part way up that top hat, fall backwards, hit about 45 miles per hour. That's when you reach the highest point on that spike. And now you fall forwards where you're going to hit your final speed, 52 miles per hour. Again, those are not the exact speeds for the launches. That's just my guess. And I actually imagine I'm probably not too far off on that. And one thing that I like about this launch track that makes it all different from every other one out there is they've added in a step up and a step down. So every time you're going forwards and backwards, you aren't just gliding on straight track the whole time. The actual launch section does not look particularly long. That means that it will be accelerating you in a shorter amount of time than it would otherwise. So that is something that I think is kind of cool. So now that we're going our max speed, you hit that top hat, 80 feet in the air. It's not super steep either. They have not given an angle of descent for this moment. You're going to get some airtime and then go down your drop. It doesn't look like there's a holding brake there, and it looks like you're going to be going down about a 70-degree angle, if I had to take a guess. I'm not entirely sure. They have not released the official stat for that. But if you're in the back, you're probably going to get whipped over that drop. Should be a good time. If you've done a top hat, especially on something like a premier coaster, I think we all know what to expect. It just so happens that this one will be a smaller version of that. Because again, they're going for a family coaster. That's why you have that 48-inch height requirement. So following that drop, you swoop to the right and go into 2 small bunny hills. Because it doesn't look like they're too high off the ground, I would guess that that's going to be more ejector airtime based than floater airtime. You twist to the right, and now you pop up and twist into what I would normally say is an Immelman. However, this coaster does not go upside down. So what that tells you is that it's almost more of just a high banking turn. It levels out before you can invert. And probably the craziest looking element on this thing is after you twist out of that, you bank sharply to the left and then pop up into this RMC or Intamin like maneuver. Looks something straight out of Maverick or like one of Twisted Colossus's wave turns. We'll see if this ends up being accurate to the actual ride, but it looks like that could be a 90-degree bank, which for a family coaster is pretty dang impressive. So after you pull out of that, it looks like you're gonna keep banked to the left and then twist to the right, go under the drop, stay pretty low, and then do 2 bunny hops into the brake run. I would guess that they can run up to 3 trains on this at a time. So you have one in the station, one on the brake run, and then one on the track. I don't know for sure though, it might just be 2 trains. The other thing I want to note is that this coaster will have comfort collars. I think the launches and the steep drops could be intimidating for kids, and so they're adding the comfort collars there just to make them feel like they're strapped in. But with a ride like this, I doubt there's any main safety reasons why you would need that. The lap bar should be able to do everything. But it does look like we're going to be getting 3 cars on each train, so that's an estimated capacity of 18 people per train, which is very solid. Now, in terms of theme, not a whole lot has been given besides the fact that it's an Arctic theme, which is interesting then that they went with that orange track. I think the teal supports makes a lot of sense, but it does kind of make you wonder why they didn't go with like a white track color or something like that. But I think that the orange is cool. Orange is a very vibrant color, and pretty much every other coaster at SeaWorld is blue, so this does mix things up a bit, which is nice. I don't know how much theming we'll see in the actual queue line. Typically what SeaWorld does is not elaborately theme their queues, but just make them look nice. Like they'll well landscape the area around it, maybe add in some subtle decorations, so everything's just presentable. So I'm not anticipating any main large theming elements around the coaster. It is interesting though that they decided to name it Icebreaker. I think it's a good name. I have no complaints with it. I actually think it's pretty clever because this is designed to be a family coaster, thus get kids into larger coasters, aka this is kind of breaking the ice for them, getting them into more extreme rides so then they can work their way up to rides like Mako. So in that regard, it's actually a pretty clever name. Kind of has a double meaning, because on the more literal sense, yeah, it's about snow in this Arctic feel. I mean, you have Wild Arctic right across the Midway. However, if when you get off and exit through the gift shop, if they aren't selling icebreakers in there, I really feel like that's a missed opportunity. But those are just my thoughts on Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando, the new multi-launch coaster debuting next year. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this edition, if you're excited for it. Nice to see SeaWorld Orlando finally getting a launch coaster. Really fills a gap in their coaster lineup. So if you're looking forward to it, be sure to let me know. And of course, you can stay tuned for more roller coaster related videos here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.